You know, I knew trouble was rolling in the moment I saw those tracks. Fresh, deep tire marks cut clean across my pasture before the sun had even fully cleared the ridge. 15 minutes later, when a pack of these HOA agents came storming through my fence line like they owned the whole damn Comanche County, I realized that out here, deep in West Texas, we don't dial 911 for trespassers. All it takes is one sound, one single, definitive sound. Chalk. The morning had started off right, the way a good ranch day should. The air smelled like cedar and that faint, comforting metallic scent of last night's gun oil. I was out on the porch, boots cool on the wood, enjoying the quiet. Cattle were still lowing, the wind barely stirring the mesquite. Just Texas, the way Texas is supposed to be, the land my granddaddy settled back in '48. I headed out to the west fence line. A storm had stretched the barbed wire a few nights back. Just routine, honest work. But halfway through tightening the wire, I spotted it. Those tracks. Deep, wide, smooth. Not a ranch truck, not a neighbor, but something shiny and expensive, the kind of vehicle folks from the Copper Creek Estates subdivision polish religiously every Saturday. I followed them slow, my coffee still warm. The latch on my south gate, a latch that had worn the same rust for 20 years, now had fresh scuff marks. Someone hadn't just stumbled onto my property. They had actively tried to open it, testing the boundary. I checked the trail cam, red light blinking, and played the clip. Sure enough, a big, black Cadillac Escalade, the kind with blacked-out windows, easing up just far enough to cross the line. Someone in clean shoes got out, checked the latch like he was shopping, then backed out, slow, deliberate, plotting a return. I looked south, toward Copper Creek. Tan stucco walls and HOA rules thick enough to choke a mule. They'd been sending me letters for months. Offers, forced friendliness, all thrown straight into the burn barrel. But testing my gate before dawn, that wasn't friendliness, that was intent. My daddy used to say, a man who checks your gate before sunrise ain't checking the weather. I finished my coffee, let that familiar tightening settle in my chest. Not fear, but the cold clarity of a line being crossed. And new trouble had found its way back to the land my family had guarded for generations. By mid-morning, the sun was high, stinging the back of my neck. The silence broke with the crunch of smooth tires on my long gravel drive. A silver Range Rover, spotless, driving up the ridge like it owned the dirt. 3 people stepped out, 2 men in navy blazers that looked miserably hot, and a woman in heels sharp enough to puncture concrete. She didn't need a name tag. I'd seen her type before. HOA royalty. Mr. Callahan, she called out, her smile polished and immovable. I'm Veronica Vance, president of the Copper Creek Homeowners Association. What a truly spectacular morning. I didn't move, just rested my thumbs on my belt, waiting. We're not selling anything, she chirped, taking a step closer, too close. We're offering. She swept a hand across my land like she was unveiling a canvas. Your southern acreage, Mr. Callahan. It's the missing piece for our new community green space. That missing piece, I replied, my voice dry and slow, has been in my family since 1948. My father bled on that dirt. It ain't a puzzle piece, ma'am. It's home. Her smile didn't even twitch. It was painted on with industrial sealant. And that's why we're offering above market value. One of the Blazer boys slid out a glossy map. We're prepared to offer $1.8 million for the southern 400 acres. Cash. Clean. I let out a low, humorless chuckle, nudging the dirt with my boot. Lady, I don't care if you're offering me the moon. This land is not for sale. Not today. Not tomorrow. The mask finally slipped. Something cold and hard flashed in her eyes. The Blazer boy stepped in, tapping the map. Mr. Callahan, you should reconsider. We've already conducted preliminary surveys. Access roads, drainage. Surveys? I cut in, my jaw tightening, the adrenaline finally hitting. That explains the tracks at my gate. That somebody was you. Silence fell. Veronica stepped in, her voice now hard as granite. Mr. Callahan, this is progress. We are going to build here eventually. We'd just prefer to do it with your cooperation. Eventually, I repeated, implies I have a choice. And my choice is, get off my property. She stared, predatory and calculating. Think about it. We'll follow up. Don't, I said. Save your gas. She spun on her heels, marched back to the Rover, her men scrambling behind her like well-trained shadows. I stood there until the silver flash disappeared. Then I went inside, the cool air settling on my skin. I walked straight to the gun cabinet, pulled out the old Winchester Model 12, my favorite shotgun. I didn't load it, just worked the action, rack back, rack forward. Chalk. I set it back gently. Her visit wasn't the worst of it. It was the end of the polite phase. People like Veronica don't take no as an answer. They take it as an insult, and insults in their world demand a response. 2 days passed, quiet. Too quiet. On the third morning, the stillness broke with a faint crunch, boot on dry twigs. I was in the lower pasture, and I turned fast, hand drifting to the belt knife. Nothing. Then I saw it. A sliver of neon orange, artificial and arrogant, tied to a cedar branch. A survey ribbon, fluttering 20 feet inside my property line. I plucked it off. I saw another, and another, a trail of orange running along my fence like a stitch in the earth. They were spaced evenly, clearly thrown out the window of a moving vehicle. Survey style. Entitled. I ripped down every last ribbon, crushing them into a tight wad. In the barn light, that neon plastic looked almost violet. Disrespect hits different when it's aimed at something you've bled for. I climbed the ridge, grabbed my drone controller, and sent the camera skyward. 30 seconds into the feed, I saw it. A bulldozer path, fresh cut, pushing 10 feet past my true boundary line. And just past that, a mobile drilling rig, 3 workers in hard hats and vests, pointing at my trees, discussing my dirt like it was already on their blueprint. This wasn't testing. This was a quiet, calculated invasion. A message saying, "We're already here. What are you going to do about it?" I lowered the drone. The line wasn't a metaphor anymore. It was crossed in tire tracks and steel teeth, carving earth that didn't belong to them. Later that afternoon, I was walking the fence line when I heard a soft, electronic click. I froze. A glint of glass behind the cedar needles. A long telephoto lens, aimed not at the ground or the trees, but directly at my chest. A man crouched low, a clipboard guy scribbling furiously next to him. "You boys lost?" I asked, my voice calm, the kind of calm that makes grown men rethink their life choices. The cameraman jolted. "We're conducting an environmental assessment, authorized by Copper Creek Development." "Assessment," I repeated. "Inside my fence, without permission, with your camera aimed at my face. You're not here for data. You're here for reaction. You want footage of the unstable rancher yelling, grabbing a gun." I didn't give them an inch. "The HOA," I said, letting my shadow fall over them, "has no jurisdiction outside its little toy neighborhood." "Who sent you?" Clipboard guy stared at the dirt and whispered one name, Veronica. Confirmation. She hadn't sent workers. She'd sent scouts, spies. She wanted to map the land, and she wanted to map me, to provoke a mistake she could twist into a court filing. I pointed toward the road. "Walk. Don't jog. Don't run. If I catch either of you in these trees again, we won't be having a conversation." They scrambled away, leaving me alone in the cedar shade. They wanted a monster. I wasn't going to give them a monster. I was going to give them a nightmare. The next morning, the mail truck brought the paper war. A stack of certified mail envelopes, all from Copper Creek Homeowners Association Compliance and Enforcement Division. Lie after lie, noise violations at 2 a.m., environmental contamination from improper livestock waste. But the final envelope was thicker. Inside was a glossy, color-printed map titled Copper Creek Expansion Phase 2. Half my southern acreage was shaded green and labeled HOA Managed Preserve Community Greenbelt. My land, painted over like it had already been taken. I called Avery Collins, my attorney, a quiet, sharp man. If most lawyers are pocket knives, Avery is a straight razor. "Avery," I said, describing the map. "She's trying to seize it." "That map is not a mistake, Tom." Avery's voice dropped an octave. "It's intent for seizure. Paper trails first, action second. Don't confront them tonight. Let them make the wrong move first." The house felt wrong that night, like it was watching me. The dogs paced, staring south toward the cedar line, low growls vibrating in their chests. I sat in the dark kitchen, the instinct my father trusted running laps in my head. If a person doesn't respect your fence, they eventually test your door. Whatever came next wasn't going to be made of paper. At 7:15 a.m. the next day, they came. No sneaking, no hiding. 3 white SUVs, unmarked, rolling straight through the opening I used for the hay truck. 6 men in bright yellow and orange vests, synthetic hornets in a natural hive. They weren't surveying, they were claiming. I set my coffee down and walked out, boots crunching gravel. I found the ringleader, tall, thick around the waist, holding a clipboard like it was a badge of authority. "Sir," he said, smirking, "you'll need to keep your distance. This is an active partition zone." "Partition?" I chuckled dryly. "That's a polite way of saying trespassing." "Pack it up." He sighed, the exasperated sound of a man dealing with someone beneath him. "Sir, if you continue to obstruct authorized personnel, we will document this as noncompliance. Now step aside." Then he made the fatal mistake. He stepped closer and put his hand on my shoulder. A soft touch, but arrogant, dismissive, condescending. Like he was guiding a confused old man out of the way. I didn't move. I just looked down at his manicured fingers on my shirt, then up into his eyes. 2 long seconds. 1, 2, and I watched the confidence drain out of him like water from a punctured canteen. He snatched his hand back. I said quietly, "Don't." Then I turned my back on him. No rush, no anger, just purpose. I walked up the porch steps, past the still-watching dogs, into the cool hallway to the gun cabinet. I took out the Winchester Model 12, grabbed a handful of shells, and walked back outside. The leader froze mid-sentence. Workers stopped hammering stakes. I walked until I was 20 yards away. I didn't point the shotgun at them. I kept it angled safely toward the sky. Then, I gripped the fore-end, pulled it back, and slammed it forward. Chalk. Metal on metal. Sharp, clean, final. The sound rolled across the field like thunder. The leader went white as sheetrock dust. Hands flew into the air. Sir, whoa, whoa, whoa. You said this was a survey zone." I said, calm as Sunday morning. "I'm telling you it's a target range." Panic took over. The leader shrieked, "Pack up. Move. Move." They scrambled, tripping, abandoning equipment. Doors slammed, engines roared, and within 45 seconds, the field was empty. Just a cloud of dust, a broken tripod, and a clipboard face down in the dirt. I stood there, letting the Winchester rest easy in my hands. I told him, "This is Texas. We don't dial 911 out here." I barely ejected the one shell I'd chambered when the first siren hit. 22 minutes. That's how long it took them to call the sheriff. 2 county cruisers rolled up. I stayed on the porch, coffee in hand, right thumb hooked in my belt. Deputy Mark Renner, a good man, tired eyes, stopped 10 feet away. "Morning, Tom. We got a call. Distance, weapon involved. Caller says you pulled a shotgun on a survey crew. Says you feared for their lives." I didn't aim at anyone, Mark. They were trespassing, ignored warnings. I racked the slide to make a point. "Tom, the woman who called, Veronica Vance, she's fired up. Says you're unstable. I have to take the report." "That's why," I said, reaching slowly into my pocket. "I brought this." I tossed him a small silver USB drive. "Porch camera. High-def audio. Shows the whole thing. Shows them trespassing. Shows my muzzle pointed at clouds the entire time." Mark caught it. "I'll review it. If it's clean, you're clean." I should have felt relief, but my gut was tight. At noon, the phone started buzzing. Facebook groups, Nextdoor threads. There I was, captured in a grainy, zoomed-in freeze frame, shotgun in hand, face hard from adrenaline. The caption, "Armed and dangerous. Local rancher threatens community volunteers." Then came the punchline. Should the county review the mental stability of rural landowners near residential zones? It was a dart aimed straight at my throat. Eminent domain by reputation. Avery called. "They want you angry, Tom. They want a record of you losing your temper. You beat them legally this morning, so now they're trying to beat you publicly." I looked toward the ridge. A news van was parked there, filming my property like they were documenting a crime scene. The invasion wasn't physical anymore. It was a story. My shotgun couldn't help me now. I needed a different kind of weapon. Avery's office. He was waiting with a younger man, maybe 40, eyes red-rimmed. "Ethan Brooks. He's defecting," Avery said. Ethan, a subordinate of Veronica's, looked sick. "She fired me this morning. Said the survey disaster was my fault. She's setting me up to take the fall." He slid a USB drive across the desk. "Karen promised the developer my signature was coming any day. She took the deposit. She already spent the commission." Avery plugged it in. The map that flashed on the screen wasn't the fake one. This was clearer, sharper, with the developer logo, Cypress Ridge Capital. My southern 400 acres weren't green. They were blue, marked as residential blocks 4A through 4F. Sold. Pre-sold. They had already sold lots on my land. That, Avery said slowly, is fraud. It's conspiracy. And since they used the mail to deliver that fake map, it's potentially federal mail fraud. We went on offense. But before we could file, my phone rang. Ethan. His voice was shaking so hard I barely recognized it. Tom. They're here. Karen sent them. They're pounding on my door. The line cut. I grabbed my keys. Avery was right. She was a criminal, and criminals don't wait for lawsuits. I called Linda Rowan, an independent investigative reporter I'd met the night before, a woman who hunted the truth. Meet me at Ethan's place. We have a live story. We tore down the county road. We arrived to see two men, big, with construction vests, but the wrong kind, walking away from Ethan's duplex. 100% Karen's people. We found Ethan inside, against the wall, trembling. They said if I talk, they'll ruin me. Say I forged everything. They'll call the police. Where's your family, Ethan? I sent the kids to her mother's this morning, he choked out. I didn't want them in the house today. Linda stepped closer, calm but steady. Ethan, you're the key witness. They're trying to scare you into silence. Then you made the right enemies. We slipped out the back, Ethan clutching his laptop. We drove him back to the ranch, where I locked the main gate, double chain, reinforced bar. Linda looked at me. This is bigger than your land, Tom. This is organized coercion. I know, I said. But tomorrow, the world wakes up to the truth. Friday morning felt electric. In the courtroom, the air was thick with expectation. Judge Raleigh McClure, 70-something, silver mustache, boots under his robe, sat at the bench. Veronica Vance sat opposite, wrapped in a blazer worth more than my truck, flanked by her shiny crow-like lawyers. Her attorney started, pushing through the armed threat and unstable behavior narrative. Then Avery stood. Your Honor, we have evidence. Avery dimmed the lights and played the porch footage. Me, standing calm, the muzzle pointed at the sky. 5 neon-vested trespassers scattering like pigeons. The judge tapped the bench. Well now, that shotgun ain't pointed at nobody on God's green earth. Looks to me like a man enjoying his morning. Y'all sure have colorful imaginations. Then Avery brought up the real map, the Cypress Ridge Capital map, showing my land pre-sold. The judge stared at it. Ms. Vance, falsifying a land map is the kind of stupidity that usually burns down a whole neighborhood before breakfast. Avery wasn't done. He called Ethan Brooks to the stand. Shaking, Ethan told the truth about the fake lots, the spent commissions, and the threats afterward. Judge McClure leaned forward. Miss Vance, every single accusation you slung at this man is a steaming pile of nonsense. Bang. The gavel cracked. Case dismissed. Full dismissal with prejudice, and your actions are being referred to the district attorney. Fraud, harassment, attempted title theft, witness intimidation. Veronica's face didn't just fall, it collapsed. I walked outside into a wall of microphones. Linda filmed everything. I said 5 words. Truth wins eventually. Always. The drive home felt lighter. I parked by the old wooden gate. The same gate I'd rebuilt twice. The same gate that stood like a line in the dirt. I stepped out, opened the gun cabinet, wiped down the Winchester, and slid it back into place, not as a threat, but as a tool, sleeping again. The wind rustled the grass like applause. I closed the gate slowly, letting the latch click home, a sound sharper than any gavel. My land was mine again. So tell me, if you were in my boots, facing an organized criminal group that uses HOA bylaws and social media to steal your home, would you have waited for the police to show up? Or would you have gone for the Winchester? When do property rights end and organized crime begin? Let me know your stance on the line between self-defense and legal patience in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it, because sometimes the only thing that kills a lie faster than a bullet is the truth.